Good evening, everyone. You know what day it is. You know what time. It's time for Hard Talks with a Blonde and a Hippie. I'm your trippy hippie, Alicia, jumping on the mic from good old Utah. And tonight, Sarah is not going to be with us. But don't stress, fam. Your favorite blonde will be back next week for another epic episode. I am still joined by great company. I'm actually really excited about tonight because I'm joined by one of my very best friends, Shawn. How are you tonight?
Hi, bestie.
Hey, bestie. That's my best friend. She's a real bad bitch.
No money. No need, no need.
Yeah. Deshawn or Shawn and I have known each other almost a decade now. We're going to chat about his life because he's lived a pretty extraordinary one. Visiting me from Cali, he was the perfect person to have on since Sarah couldn't be here. But before we get into everything, you definitely know what you're listening to. This is an 18 and up podcast. We talk all things controversial, difficult, or taboo. We curse like sailors. You know I do. I don't want to be responsible for your 4-year-old saying fuck or goddamn. Okay?
Period.
Okay.
Period.
Skirt? Anyway, tonight we are drinking this lovely wine. The show, a Malbec. Deshawn likes red wine.
No, you had to get the little Malbec in there. A little heavy on set.
A Mendoza, Argentina.
Argentinian wine, I will say this. If you just need something to fall back on, definitely go for it.
Can I uncork this?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. We're doing it. I talked about this on the last episode, but I had a person from Texas email into the show a few weeks ago because I didn't drink for a couple of episodes. And they're like, is this still Hard Talks? And I'm like, well, we're talking hard shit, aren't we? You know? And I got to keep my sobriety in check, homies, all right?
Just need to slow it down every now and then. Stay with the game.
Got a lot of shit on my plate. Ooh.
Ooh, I love that sound.
I like how I sniff the cork.
It's delicious.
Let me get a waft this wine.
No. Let it breathe a little bit.
Let it breathe.
Take it in. Smell the berries. Smell the oak.
You know what I've always wanted to do? I've always wanted to take a trip down to like Napa.
Ooh.
Yeah, and go wine tasting because isn't Napa, California known for their vineyards?
Absolutely. I mean, I'll look into it because I can probably see if we can get up in there.
Yeah.
I got a lot of deals, and it's not that far from where I am, so.
I got to give a shout out to Sarah. That's why she's not here tonight because it is her birthday today. We are recording on a Thursday today just because, schedules are sometimes hard to accommodate to. But we're here. We're doing it. It's going to be badass. Motherfucker, mamma jamma. I've known you almost a decade.
Almost a decade. It's crazy to think about, huh?
Yeah. What, we were 15 when we met? 16?
Yep. 15.
Balls, man.
Seriously.
We worked at Chick-Gil-A together.
Ooh, honey. Them days. Although I made the best of it wearing them tight-ass pants.
Dude, there was something about those pants that just rode up your ass.
Yeah, it's called singeing up the belt to the belly button.
No, it wasn't. They would just naturally did that. You did it for other reasons.
Because you had that naturally thickness in them pants. They weren't ready for all that.
But for me, I have no ass. I'm white girl as fuck, okay? I'll rep it. You know I will.
Oh, yeah.
Twerk
I see
all
you
day.
every now and then. You'll just go ahead and bust it out. All that, oh, snap. We getting that lit.
You've seen my rave pictures.
Oh, yeah.
Hey.
I
fabulous.
low-key, like some of the outfits, I'm like, I need to wear that.
Right? You should have worn fucking Jesus. Oh. Well, we're saying that already. I did give the disclaimer, yeah?
You did.
Yeah. I'm not drunk, guys.
Long before.
It's been a long day, see? And my cheese is nowhere near my cracker anymore. It really has just gone and blown away, and I think it's like moldy and, the street somewhere. I have no idea, but
right.
I'm just trying to keep my thoughts together most of the time.
Even if they're not, I mean, you and I talked about this little ADD thing that we got going because we're just going 24/7, and then all of a sudden it's just like, what was I saying? What were we doing? Oh, right, bring it back.
You literally lose your train of thought in the middle of a sentence. It's crazy. And a lot of people would say, like, I'll steal this bit from Joe Rogan because he's amazing. But one of his old stand-up comedy moments was like, people say that pot fucks up your memory. And he's like, no, I remember the shit that I'm supposed to remember. You know, I remember not to call my girlfriend while I was fucking someone else. Shit like that. You do remember the important stuff.
You do.
You remember the traumatic shit too.
Which is unfortunate. Because then it like becomes affiliated with it. And it's like,
Yeah. I saw a lot of fuckery happen while we were at Chick-fil-A together.
That.
And I have just seen you blossom into this incredible human being. I wanted to ask you before my cheese blows away even further. You're visiting me here. You've been staying with me. And Deshawn, let me just say this. He is the sweetest freaking person in the world. I come home from working like 9 hours a day, and then I have an hour commute both ways. So I finally get home, and I feel all bad because I'm like, I don't want to leave. I can't take it off to spend time with you, really. I'm sorry. We have the weekend. It's what we live for as adults. That's how you know you reach adulthood, is when you live for the weekends. Yeah, seriously. But I come home, and he cleaned my entire house. Like, even my child's room, like, spotless. You are incredible. That's a real friend. But anyways, I've had the pleasure of Shawn staying with me throughout the week, and we've had a lot of catching up to do, which has been fabulous. Absolutely. Where are you visiting me from, though, if you don't mind me asking?
Absolutely. So I'm visiting from San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
It's been away for, 2.5 years?
Yeah, it's been a while.
Right. Been quite a while, which was needed. I mean, you knew me longer than a lot of people that I still talk to. So to see my transition, the cat is doing the most at the current moment. But yeah, so seeing my transition and just seeing like where I've come now is a complete 180 from where I used to be. I'm not saying like I was a bad guy. I was just in a lot of shitty situations. And to be able to move out, be free, come and visit as a completely different person, but so much more happier and just bubbly, I should say.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
that's pretty much it.
You have had a crazy life. You really have. You are one of the most like independent, strong people I know. And you have a bleeding heart like I do. We're both Tauruses. Our birthdays are so close together. Hey,
Taurus guy.
Oh, that's what I was saying. See, guys, I can't stay on track. Happy birthday, Sarah. Seriously. My bitch is 26. She's beautiful and thriving, and I just love her so much.
Happy birthday, Sarah.
Yes, she's beautiful. I went on my birthday on the 1st. I was at a festival, a rave. And everyone has an issue with that word. It's so funny, especially when you tell like your older family members are like, oh,
right.
A rave. It's
instantly affiliated with like XYZ.
Drugs. All the drugs. That's what it's affiliated with. It's unfortunate. Everybody should go and experience one at least once in their lifetime. I will be so bold as to say that. Thank you. This wine's delicious. Very wholesome tasting.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, I was going around to everybody at this rave and I was like, will you give me a birthday wish? Because I had a birthday sash on. And they're like, oh, it's your birthday. I'm like, yep, give me a birthday wish. And so if you guys want to give Sarah a birthday wish, you can email into hardtalkswithbnh@gmail.com. You will literally make her whole year. That's her favorite thing to do is read your comments. So make them funny.
Right. 2 minutes, that's her life. Let's go.
Yeah, for sure. But anyways, like you and I met at Chick-fil-A 15. We were hired on with the grand opening Chick-fil-A team, which was a trip because this whole corporate crew comes in and sets up and trains you. And that was
traumatic.
Exactly. That's why I remember it. And do you remember they had that gala dinner before the restaurant actually opened?
Up. I was like, y'all need to chill.
Yeah, I brought my dad. And it was fabulous. I'd bring my dad anytime to a gala. He can be my date as long as he doesn't drink. But
as is most dates.
Yeah.
So, let's just Reel back.
Weren't you working even before then, though?
So not at, I mean, prior to that, I worked with my uncle out in Salt Lake with his reggae shop, Twisted Roots.
Nice.
How
old were you?
I was like 13, 14.
Yeah.
He would take me on a lot of like tours that he would go and just set up his booth, and he'd be like, all right, run this with me. And then after a while, he just set me loose. He's like, well, go head off to the dance floor, go have some fun, come back before, this time, and let's pack up and get out. Mm-hmm. But I mean, he went multiple places in California, a couple places in Colorado, which it's funny because when I went to the tour out in Colorado, this guy, mind you, I'm like 13, 14, but we're at this festival and like everybody is smoking weed. There's just this thick layered cloud to where you can't see the next person if they were standing maybe 15 feet from you. And this guy walks up and he's just like, hey, what's up, little man? I was like, hi. Stranger.
Stranger danger.
Stranger danger. No. And then he just passes me a bowl. He's like, you want to hold it? I was like, okay. And my ignorant ass, I was just sitting there holding it. I was like, I don't know. This random guy just wants me to hold it for him.
I'll hold it. That's what she said.
Well, in my story.
Just hold this for me.
Can you just hold this for me, please?
You're like, well, are you coming back? Or
No, he literally sat there and like stared at me for like 5 minutes, wondering what I was doing. And I looked at him with the most blank look. I was like, so are you going to take this back? Why am I holding it? I don't really know.
That must have been a long 5 minutes, my guy.
It was. It felt like 15.
Oh, Jesus.
I was like, all right, well, here goes this. I have to go.
Yeah. So I know you weren't born in Utah. Where did you move here from? Remind me.
Well, so I was born here. I was born in Ogden. But as soon as I was born, we moved out to San Diego. And that's
what it was.
Yeah. I got my upbringing there until we moved back, which wasn't until like another 6 or 7 years later. So.
Yeah. I remember that. Me and you lived together for a year. And even back then, okay, I have to give a little context to this.
Just a little bit. That's a lot there.
There's so much we could unpack about this.
You ever do a series? We're just going to have to like part 1.
do a whole new podcast called the Chick-Fil-A Days.
Chick-Fil-A Days. Oh, God.
Chick-Fil-A X-Files.
7 years, girl.
Yeah, you worked there for 7 years.
7 years.
Yeah.
And I almost killed everybody.
Yeah, I know you did. I worked there 6 years on and off, but even when I moved out to Sacramento for the time that I did, I was able to get a job at another Chick-fil-A there because the owner of the one that we worked at in Utah, who is an incredible human being, like I don't want that to be misconstrued in any way, shape, or form. We can talk mad shit on Chick-fil-A, but our boss and owner, he was hard to work with. I'm not going to lie, but he was the most kind and generous man, and honestly, probably the best boss I ever had.
Yeah, seriously.
Shout out to you, Craig. I know you'll never listen to this, but just a really good man.
Seriously.
Yeah, I just don't want that to get confused. But anyways, Craig knew the other owner out in Sacramento. So I was moving out there and they're like, oh, we have a job lined up for you. Like, that is how much he cared about us. Like, he even paid another one of our friends who's actually been on this podcast who worked there with us, her rent for a month or two because she couldn't afford
he paid
it.
my rent for like a month. I was like, oh.
Just out of his own pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good guy. Anyway, I hated every second of it. Mm-hmm. But it's one of those jobs. I mean, there's something about customer service, especially when you work long shifts like you did, 12 to 15-hour shifts.
Right.
Craziness. I don't know how you did that. Open to close. I don't know how you did that. So 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. 10 p.m. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just like the customers, there's like a certain level of bouginess about Chick-fil-A fanatics.
Right.
Have you noticed that? Oh,
I have. And at that moment that I realized it is the reason, like, I I shouldn't be working here because my mouth and my sass has no bounds. So, I mean, I hated working there every day of my life, but if I could control the music in the back, my cheeks were clapping, like straight up.
We literally had Sierra Saturdays.
Best freaking moments.
Level up.
Of the life.
That wasn't out then, but hey.
But yeah, like customers, they were something else. Just dealing with the different attitudes and vibes and energy. I was like, oh.
And to that too, like depending on what portion of the day you worked in, like the morning people that would come in were like people that would come in every single day. Like
right on cue.
That is not an exaggeration whatsoever. Like we knew people by names. We knew their children by names. We knew their cousins, their parents, because they're all local. Like Utah is a densely populated state these days. So it's a pretty small world here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I
left. I know what you
I can't throw a stick 12 yards without hitting someone I know. I swear to God. It's not great.
Well, it's funny to say that too.
Well, I mean, it can be, but you know.
It's true. I mean, it is funny to say that though, because also living in San Francisco, it's only 7 miles by 7 miles. So literally everybody does know everyone. It's just there's so much happening and so much going on and so many moving pieces to where you don't focus on it, but then you recognize like, oh, across the street. Oh, I met you like 2 weeks ago.
Hey, girl.
Hey.
Hey, I haven't been to San Fran in so long. I need to come back.
Oh, yes.
But that's crazy because like Sacramento is massive. Mm-hmm. Like it's so huge, you guys. It has sub-cities in the main city. So like you have your Rio Linda, Sacramento. You have your Alta Arden, Sacramento. Like it's crazy. Mm-hmm. Literally regions of the city. And if that gives you any context, if you've never been there, California is such a huge state. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, and it's just like LA. I mean, LA is massive. And you have so many like little parts in it, but in the spectrum, it's just like,
you know, when I think of LA, I think in my head, and this might sound weird and make no sense, but San Francisco seems bigger in my mind than LA. Because I guess you're in the Bay. You know what I mean? I don't know.
No, being in the Bay, I mean, it takes one bridge ride within maybe 15, 20 minutes and you're in Oakland. All you got to do is drive down maybe another hour and you're in like San Jose and just all those other places. So within that bay, you do have so many options. So it does make sense.
Yeah. It's so crazy, your journey, because you went from working 60 plus hours at Chick-Fil-A a day, or a week, 60 plus hours a week
like, girl.
at Chick-fil-A. I mean, if you could, you probably would, because your work ethic is just astounding to me.
Had to do what I had to do.
Yeah. And now you're living your best fucking life, doing what you want to do. And you know what? You don't have to pay anyone's way.
Seriously.
Yeah. So can I ask you a hard question?
Yeah, of course. Name of the podcast, girl.
Did you feel pressured, or were you pushed into going into like the workforce at an early age because you had always been the breadwinner for your entire family, or was that just on you?
So at the very, very beginning, I floated the idea around for just me. I was like, well, I'm tired of asking for money, and I know I'm young, but at the same time, like, I could do something. Mm-hmm. And I was tired of going and mowing lawns and doing all this other stuff for petty cash. And I was like, all right, it's a legit job. I'm not going to knock it. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it just wasn't for me. Mm-hmm. And so that initially was like, okay, I'm going to look for a job. And then things happened within my family that I couldn't control, but also like, I knew I could do something about it without even anyone having to say anything.
Right.
And me being a child, yes, but an old soul already that was just kind of like spewing out of me at that point. I had always been raised like, do what you can for your family.
Right.
So when situations popped up, my parents couldn't work for a certain amount of time, and then got into a car accident, and only my mom was able to go to work. And I've always been like a mama's boy. So I'm like, no, I'm going to help my mother out. This is not acceptable.
Right.
So once that started going in, I got a job for them. But within like a month is when they got forced to like work more hours, need bigger paychecks. And it was shitty because like at the end of the day, I never saw any of the money.
Right. They drained you dry.
Yeah. Like my first paycheck, I will say I had my first paycheck to myself. But at that age,
probably like $30.
Yeah. It was like a good, because I believe we started like at the beginning of the pay period.
Okay. So it was a full paycheck.
So yeah, it was a full paycheck.
Okay. That's nice.
You know, little Shawn, little $500-$700 here and there.
Yep. But to us then, that seemed like a lot of money.
Yeah. The most we held in our hand was like $100 at Christmas or something.
Or like $3 if you were lucky from your rich grandpa.
Right. So after that, never saw a full paycheck to myself again.
That's a lot of pressure to put on a kid. How did you cope with that?
I never did. I literally just balled it up inside and kept moving because all my other like past trauma and stuff, I've just learned to like hold it in and then keep moving. I can't show. I will say there is a part of it that was the household I was raised in. For a male, you don't show weakness or vulnerability.
Do you think that has to do with the religious spectrum?
A part of it was, and the reason I say a part of it is because my dad was like on and off with the religion. He was like choosy.
And it was Islam, right?
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
He was choosy with it. He would practice and then he wouldn't practice, and there was just a lot of back and forth. And he never really put the pressure on me to like practice, but a lot of the practices were enforced in the household. And at the time, I always try to like give them the benefit of the doubt that they were young when they had me, so they're like still learning how to be parents. However, looking back at it now and accepting things, I've learned that, okay, there were a lot of things that like should not have happened.
Right.
But at the same time, and for my own benefit, I look at to the person that I've turned into today, which is
wonderful.
Why, thank you.
Ring, ring, wonderful. Absolutely. I feel like having that stress of supporting both parents and your little sister, even at such a young age, and growing up in a semi-religious home, you know, that made it hard for you to blossom and flourish. You know what I mean?
Most definitely.
I mean, you were closeted for how many years?
Ooh, I was closeted for about 5 years, because I mean, it was like young that I was like starting to get curious about things, and noticed that I was pulling more attraction to male versus female.
Right.
And that definitely, I mean, just the household in general, it's like, no, there's no way I could show this. And then the on and off religion was just like, I couldn't wait for him to make up his mind about that. So it's still, I was raised to always show respect. So I showed respect, and I just kept my mouth shut.
Well, and you worked so hard too, all the way up until you quit. At how old were you?
It's like 21, 22.
22.
I think 22.
22. Yeah. I mean, you were constantly, and we've talked about this before. I mean, you said that you felt like you had no life outside of that. I mean, you really didn't ever have the time to really get to know yourself and soul search and go on a journey of self-discovery, if you will. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I'm so glad that you got that opportunity now. But like you said in the very beginning, you literally had to separate yourself from the state to be able to go and find that bliss.
Absolutely. It took me like separating from state, family, even friends. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was a complete disconnect. And, you know, the people who were really there for you in the beginning, they'll be there for you in the end. So if you need to go away and just take this time for yourself to find yourself, you know, get stuff going, when you come back and be like, hey, sorry, but like I am rocking it right now.
Yeah.
And I just want to let you know that I love you. And, you know, don't take it too hard. It's just life happens.
Yeah.
And that's the thing we don't realize when we're younger. It's like life is going to happen.
Yeah. I implore you to do that too. Like I was forced to find myself, and I've talked a little bit about this on previous episodes, but I was thrust into single motherhood, and I didn't know who the fuck I was. You know, I didn't have many of my own friends that weren't mutual. I didn't have any of my own hobbies. I didn't have any drive, any motivation. I was very depressed, suicidal. My anxiety was up through the roof, and I literally had to take it minute by minute every single day, especially in the beginning, because I was so broken after everything that I had to have help from other people to put me back together. But once I started to flow again and really vibe with myself, you know, really figure out what I believe in, what I like, what I dislike, I was able to become more independent. Obviously, I mean, we're here. But I mean, I was really able to branch out and blossom myself. And I found this podcast. Or it found me. I think it was because it's so therapeutic for me to sit down and have a conversation about difficult things and try and normalize some things that, you know, it makes everything feel a little bit easier after.
Yeah.
My own anxiety, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, because you're getting a chance to express and, you know, let it flow out for once rather than have it all flow in.
Excuse me. Yeah. So, I mean, if you need to put yourself back together and separate yourself from what your reality is in this current moment, like, don't be afraid to take that first step, man, because a journey of 1,000 miles takes that first step. Yep. It's so cliche, but it's so true.
It's so true.
And each step is hard, but the farther you go, the easier it gets. And you might see some beautiful scenery on your way. So, anywho, tangents for days. I got you. So, when you decided that you needed to move away, what was the deciding factor to finally be done? Because, I mean, we talked about that for years. You and I back and forth. I'm going to quit Chick-fil-A. I'm going to quit Chick-fil-A. Right. And it actually paid us pretty well because we had a very generous boss, again.
Yeah.
But,
well, we also sacrificed like a lot of hours of our lives, though,
well,
too.
Definitely.
Generosity came with the generosity of our work
time. Yeah. Time. My time ain't free, bitch.
Facts.
But what was the end all be all, if you will?
Absolutely. So by this point, see, I moved out April, I think it was like 22nd, 23rd of 2018. And that's when I headed out to San Francisco. That determining factor was like, ever since the age of 14, I've financially supported my parents.
Yes. And your sister.
And my sister. So like...
You parented your sister.
I parented all of them.
You still do.
No, not as much.
Well, I mean, you've distanced.
I give parent talks to my sister,
yeah. But even when you see your parents now...
Oh, yeah.
You're still
it's still just like a, what the fuck?
Yeah. You're still in that parental position almost.
Yeah. It's like, how have you not gotten your shit together at all? Yeah. But I do know the answer, and that's alcohol and other issues. But
affliction.
Right. No, the deciding factor is I had been paying their bills, constantly driving them around everywhere, and having to deal with my sister who was going through her own depression issues. And she was running away from time to time because she just didn't want to be in the house with my parents.
That.
Right.
Yeah.
And then all of that while battling my own battles with depression and like cutting and like suicidal thoughts. That was just way too much. And again, I would just sit there and ball it in because I had to go to work. I needed to make money.
Can I touch on that really quick?
Yeah.
Because I know this is like difficult for a lot of people to hear. It makes some people feel uncomfortable, but I want to talk about self-harm for a second, or inflicting pain onto yourself. It's a control thing. Wouldn't you say?
Yes.
Because I used to be in the same boat. I was your emo chick to the core. Hee hee. I laugh when it's awkward, okay? Fuck off, guys. Give me shit in the emails. But no, I very much understand and can relate to that, especially at the age of 14, 15, 16. Yeah, shit. I was like...
Those are crucial years.
Yeah, I was admitted to a psychiatric ward when I was 17 for a couple of weeks. So, I mean, yeah, it was rough. Those years were monumental in a lot of ways. But after a lot of therapy, I've come to the conclusion that when it comes to things like that, it's all about control, if you will. Mm-hmm. And it's a release of adrenaline. You know, your whole world might be falling apart, or, you know, it could be one thing, but like with anxiety, one thing multiplies and you think about it constantly, and it's just always there, that deep worry, or whatever. You just might be in the position where it's just a release. And so if you struggle with that, you know, I'm actually going to link one of the counseling apps that I have previously linked. I think it was in our motherhood episode. I find it really helpful. And I just say that because I understand, but there's a healthier way. You know what I mean? I know it might not feel like that in those times of distress, but I promise there is. Your body loves you and it takes care of you, and you know, we need to take care of it. And I don't want to misspeak at all. I want that to make sense and resonate with people that need it. But that was a big hurdle for me to get over when I was young. Took a lot of therapy, took a lot of meditation. I used to walk everywhere when I was young. That was my form of therapy, just walking, because I couldn't drive. You know, at that age, you feel trapped, and again, like you have no control. And so, yes, I can relate to you, friends, if you've been in that situation. But I definitely say that you should reach out to somebody, because it's not necessary. You don't need to gain control in that sense. You have control over so many other things in your life. The choices that you make, like even when you wake up, you could get out of bed, and rather than being down and dreary, you'll be like, I'm going to start this day with a purpose. I mean, obviously, if you have clinical depression or something, that's a little different, but It's all about headspace and managing and procuring it. You know, no one said that it's easy. It's not. It takes a lot of work every day. But like I said, if you wake up and try to, you know, tune your mindset to, this is going to be positive today. I'm going to have a good day, and put that out into the universe, put that energy out there, manifest it, if you will. You know, good things will come to you. You just have to be patient. And I promise you, patience is not my strong suit, but, you know, alter your state of mind to look at things in a different light.
Absolutely. I mean, especially with us who have gone through this experience, there's been some moments, but at the same time, at the end of those moments, there's a brighter day. And you look back and you have these wonderful days that come forth that you don't expect at all because, you know, you're just maybe not in the right mind space. Mm-hmm. When those days come, those are the memorable days.
Yeah.
And you just become grateful to yourself, even more so, I should say, more so grateful to yourself that you're just willing to keep it going and
persevering.
Oh, yeah.
Just waking up and getting out of bed and brushing your teeth.
You're blossoming in a different way, even though you may not see it. Every day that you move forward is another day down.
Yeah. If existing is all that you can do today, that's great.
Absolutely.
Because you're worth it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get stuck on that. It's just something that's very near and dear to me. You know, it's one of those things that you think you have control over, but with clinical depression and when you inflict pain on yourself through cutting, burning, whatever that may be for you, you think you have control, but sometimes you don't.
Just know if you think no one's there, there is somebody.
There's always somebody there.
There's always somebody. And it may not be the person you expect, especially probably won't expect in the moment, but there is always somebody there.
Well, and it's so incredibly hard to open up about something like that.
Oh, seriously.
You're really putting yourself out there and being vulnerable. But I promise you, you are not alone. And there are other people that have gone through not necessarily exactly then no one can walk in your shoes. Nobody has ever experienced your experience, but there are people who have had similar pain, similar trauma, similar heartache, and
similar outcomes.
Yes. Thank you. So definitely, if you guys are wanting to seek some help, if you're struggling with something like that, definitely click on the self-help link in the show notes. That being said, that's not the button I wanted. But we're here and we're laughing again.
Exactly.
Cheers. How's your wine?
Cheers. It is delicious.
That's delicious. You're so strong. I love you so damn much. I miss your fucking guts. You son of a bitch.
Son of a bitch.
You son of a bitch. Doesn't sound like a private. Hey, you see? L7 weenie.
Going back to it. So all that was happening is talking about my transition from Utah to San Francisco. Mm-hmm. So with all that happening, the next piece that comes is I had been dating a guy for about 3-4 months prior to me leaving. And this is the first relationship that I was like happy in, like generally happy. And a part of me is like feels a little guilty because it wasn't right for me to like put so much on him, in the sense that he was the only piece of like happiness in my life other than seeing like friends. But when I saw friends, it was at work. So it was kind of hard.
This boy, was he beautiful?
He was beautiful. And
in more ways than one?
In more ways than one. And at that time, I felt like I was just in such a dark place that him being that one light, it's like I didn't want to let him go, you know? So we both had built up so much of a bond with each other. Mm-hmm. And then he went out to visit his family, who lived in a little town like outside of Compton. And I was like, okay, well, I mean, you don't think of anything of it. You're just like, all right, text me when you get there, you know, we'll FaceTime every now and then.
Oh my God, I know this story.
Yeah, I'm in a very comfortable place though, so I'm good.
No, continue. Please continue.
Yeah, so he went out to go visit his family, and he liked to go out on runs during the night. It was a lot cooler. He'd just have his music on. There's not a lot of people out, so it was sort of his thing. And one night we were texting, and it was about maybe 7:00 here. And he was like, all right, I'm going to go out on a run. I will text you when I get back in. So I was like, all right, fine. Love you. I hope you have a good run, and I'll talk to you as soon as you get done. So at that point, I got off of work and I just went home. Immediately, as soon as I got home, I just had this feeling come over my body, like something was wrong.
Like a sinking feeling.
Yeah. I was like, something's wrong. I don't know what it is. I don't know what's going on. I just felt the energy in the air. And I never got a text back for the rest of the night. And I sent him a couple of texts, and I was just like, hey, are you okay? The next text was just like, I'm a little worried, but I mean, I know you're pretty tired. You've had a long day.
Right.
So, I mean, I totally understand if you just fell asleep, and we'll just talk tomorrow. And still nothing happened. I couldn't sleep at all. And I just knew something was wrong. So the next day, a couple hours went by, and I think it was about 2:00 in the afternoon. I get a text from his little brother. And he's like, hey, I really need to talk to you. I was like, okay, what's going on? And he was like, I don't know how to tell you this other than the fact that Austin got shot last night. And I was
Oh my
like,
God.
And I was like, wait, what do you mean? What are you talking about? Like, where is he okay? Is he in the hospital? You know, what is going on? I couldn't understand what was going on. He was trying to tell me, he's like, look, all I know is that he went out for a run and he didn't come back. And we got really worried towards about 2 o'clock in the morning. And we got in the car and we started driving around. And by the time we pulled around the block, there were police cars everywhere. And the police report said that he had been shot in the back multiple times. And that was it. Like, they didn't have any other leads. They didn't have any answers for any questions other than that it's a common thing. And I was like, okay, well, what do you mean? I was just in such disbelief about the whole thing. I was like, well, what do you mean? Like, is he in the hospital? You know, what's his status? Like, you have to tell me more. This isn't making sense. Even though it perfectly was, I was just in that state of panic. And he's like, no, we've been at the hospital, but he's like, he really is gone. And from that moment, like, I dropped my phone. I screamed at the top of my lungs in my apartment. I just blacked out. Like, I was throwing everything. I was throwing glass. I just kept screaming. And then,
Well, that's understandable. He was your first real boyfriend, your first love.
first happiness at all. So once that happened, the police were called because I lived in the middle unit. I mean, there was somebody living below me and somebody living above me and across from me. Like, that whole building could hear me scream and shit just happening, being thrown, breaking. So then they come over, they call my mom, and they lived right across the street. And they came over immediately, and I just didn't talk. I didn't want to talk. I sat in my room. Well, I sat on my couch in my living room for like 4, 5. Actually, no, it's like a full week. I didn't go to work. And I just sat on my couch. Didn't watch TV. Didn't do anything. I didn't know what to do.
Just beside yourself.
Right. And at this point, I had reached out to my family members out in San Francisco. I wrote them a handwritten letter. It was like 4 pages. Just like expressing my cry for help. I knew I was at a level of like being at rock bottom, but once that happened, that was something I was not prepared for, but didn't know that I could sink further.
Right.
And no friends, nobody could literally bring me any form of happiness from then on. I literally just had to write the letter and wait for the response. And I think it was definitely meant to be, because they had just gotten back on my aunt and uncle, the relatives I live with.
Uh-huh.
They had just got back from a vacation from Mexico the same day that my letter arrived. And I didn't know like they were on vacation or anything. So I call it a chance of.
It was meant to happen.
It was meant to happen. Mm-hmm. And so they read it, they called, and they already knew what was going on with my parents. It's just my parents burned so many bridges with like every member of our family. Mm-hmm. So nobody talks to them anymore because it's either about money or some other issue that is unnecessary.
Yeah.
But she was like, no, absolutely, pack up your things. Just come out here. If you need a storage, you can do that. Or you make up your decision, but let's get you out here in like a week. And at that point, I literally left like my whole apartment. I mean, you've been in my apartment, and I
got rid of everything.
And I was a bougie bitch.
Oh, you had so many decorations and like little knickknacks for all your shelves.
Right, like there's just so many things.
So many candles.
I still have so many candles.
Oh man,
candles is my shit.
You and candles and incense too. I remember that. No,
I hated.
Who was incense? Was that Rob?
Yes.
Fuck Rob. Rob. Let me say this. I'm going to break the ice. Okay. Rob, if you ever listen to this, does he spell his name with 2 B's? Isn't that right?
I don't know. I don't care.
You know what that stands for? Basic bitch. And he's not basic? No.
He's just an asshole. That's a hard talk.
We're going to, if you ever hear this, Rob, I'm putting my middle finger out in the air, and it's for you.
And you can definitely give me a call, and I will gladly just come forth about everything, because I'm a different bitch. So.
We lived with the guy, so we're allowed to talk this mad smack, because he was, we'll touch on, horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible.
That's definitely another episode.
Oh, my God.
But yeah, so that was my reason for moving. I had reached a point where I literally never thought I could reach.
Yeah.
And at that point, I mean, I just working those hours to have nothing come out of it, not having a life because I was working those hours. While I was working Chick-Gil-A, I was working Olive Garden too.
I remember
on the weekends.
Yeah.
Just so I can have some like fast cash.
2 grown adults who brought you into this world and a teenager.
Yep.
You remember we used to have these talks when we were younger. It would be like, don't you feel so much older than what we are? Like, literally, we were, both of us were always so much more mature than everyone else. And it was like, we found truly, and I've always been this way. I've always, like, been pulled to people who have been through mad shit.
Right.
Because those people are the ones who have grown up so fast. And it's like, those are the people that I befriended because I couldn't relate to people my own age, you know? Mm-hmm. So
I befriended a lot more adults when I was a teenager than I did my own age group.
Oh, hell yeah.
It was so much easier to talk to them. And they give me the look like, you sure you're this age? I'm like, I am. I just find I enjoy more conversations with you because I can't stand my own.
I can't tell you how many people have told me that I have an old soul.
Same. I've lost count. By this point, I'm just like, well, I mean, been through some shit. So,
so before before your first boyfriend, you had previously dated a couple females, yeah.
Yeah. I was trying to find meaning because at that time I didn't know what it meant. I was like, I'm attracted to this. And it's not like I was raised to think it was wrong. It was just more of, I mean, I lived in Layton, Utah. Like, it's not the place to be. But
it is beautiful. The mountains are beautiful.
The mountains are beautiful. The scenery is. Anyways, that's, yeah, that's why a bitch moved. But yeah, it was just more of trying to like figure out what does that mean. However, in much respect, in no way does that mean that I was just trying to figure it out with women. You know me, I hold women above like a huge
highest regards,
yes, high standards. And it's just like,
it's because women are goddesses.
When I was dating women, it was fun. I had genuine relationships, except for that last one. That one pissed me off. They were genuine relationships. It just didn't work out because it didn't work out we just weren't vibing. Not because of sexual tendencies, like we were very sexually active. And like that was never a factor. It wasn't until I would say after high school that I was, well, towards the end of high school, let's be honest. Towards the end of high school, I was just like, okay, now I'm getting like urges and more feelings than one, I should say.
Right.
I was like, oh.
The good.
And then I dated another woman. She was a bit younger than me. However, she was like spit image of like who I wanted to date. I thought she was gorgeous. She was beautiful.
Dream girl.
Yeah, straight up. Beautiful eyes, beautiful body, beautiful personality. She had a really good head.
Until it wasn't.
I was two-faced like a motherfucker. But I really tried to make that one work. And it's not like I was very flamboyant either.
No. No, you weren't.
No, it wasn't until after
you were always
things went down that I was like, all right, I'm gonna wear a string. I don't give a damn.
Yes. No, but I mean, like, I remember when you pulled me aside and you came out to me and you had wine and we had candles going and music in the background and my ex-husband was there because we were all really good friends. And, like, it was building and you kept having that small talk. And
I was so nervous.
I understand, but when you finally did tell me, you know, I'm gay. I like men. It took me a minute, and I remember hugging you, and I was like, oh, I'm so happy for you. Like, this is your truth. But then I don't think I ever told you, but I feel like a part of me kind of always knew. Like, even though you weren't ever flamboyant per se, like I know some gay men that you would never, that stigma, like they don't look gay.
Horrible. And I was the first grandchild, which is another like big piece in that. It's like I was the first.
You're the firstborn male heir.
Yeah, it was just like you've got a lot riding on your shoulder.
Not like you don't have all the other shit on your shoulders, just a whole fucking world.
Right. But even my grandmother, I never fully like told them like to their face like I'm gay. After I told my parents, I was like, look, you can tell whoever you want. I really don't care anymore. I've told most of the people I care about, which was like 5 friends at the time, because again, I had no life, no outside connection to the world. So it's
that was me too. I mean, yeah. I mean, we were it. Like, people used to say to our friend group that we needed to have a reality show built around all of our, like, a whole dynamic, because at one point we all lived in an apartment together, and I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, and we all worked at Chick-Gil-A. And someone was like, damn, like, is that a setup for something? Like,
You're like, well, it could be actually.
it secretly is. I hid cameras. I'm just waiting to drop it.
The house is mic'd.
Like 6 years later. But yeah, to your point.
Yeah, I mean, my grandmother, she was like, because at that point I wasn't fully expressing myself at all, because I didn't want to like freak anybody out. But when I went over there, my grandmother, she's like, I know, baby. She's like, I've been knowing.
Isn't
like,
that
but
the
I just
best
don't
response you could have gotten, though?
Really, her response was the only one I severely cared about.
Yeah.
I just didn't know how to tell her, because I didn't, in that point, you just don't want things to change, even though they are changing, and it's better that you are able to come out and change. I didn't want my relationships to change, because I had very little relationships with my family members because of my parents.
Very broken.
Destructing.
Yeah.
So, all in all, I mean, my aunts, there are some family members that are not okay with it, and it's totally fine. I mean, I told them, like, I respect your beliefs. I respect whatever you want. And if that means that I can't be a part of this, then that's totally cool. I mean, I get it. And I understand.
Yeah, but I'm tired of putting myself on the back burner.
Right. I mean, it's a due time.
This is Shawn's time to fucking shine.
Yeah. And it's like to my aunts and my uncles, and unfortunately one of my grandparents, I understand the age that they grew up in, and I understand everything. A lot of them were open to change.
Well, that's good.
The ones who didn't completely disconnected themselves from me. And do I miss it a little bit? But at the same time, it's like, you know what? It's all right. There's people in your life, regardless if they're blood, which is the hard pill to swallow, even after all this shit I've been through, there's people in the life that you need to separate yourself from. Mm-hmm. And I didn't realize that until I moved out and moved away and cut all communications with everybody.
Yeah.
So we're like, damn. The very one thing I was trying to hold on to, which was family, is one of the biggest reasons why
I'm leaving.
I had all these issues.
Yeah. Well, and to that, though, like, it's totally acceptable to unfriend that person that makes you feel some type of way. It doesn't matter what you feel, but if you feel some type of way when you're seeing their content, unfollow them. If a friend treats you like a doormat and is absolutely toxic for your life, or a boyfriend, girlfriend, relationship, whatever, it is totally okay to walk away from that. Seriously. I understand that guilt. I mean, I'm just an anxious person all the time, and I have a bleeding heart. You guys know that. But
well, that was my problem.
That was so hard for me.
Bleeding heart.
I always put my happiness aside to please everybody else.
Exactly.
And that's not necessary, folks. You have to put yourself first, because if you aren't taking care of your mental health or your physical health or your spiritual health, then you cannot help anyone else. I'm sorry.
It's not going to happen, because then it's just going to show. And before you know it, the person who you are is almost gone. And at that point, people always say, like, I don't know who I am. I haven't gotten the chance to find myself.
Yeah, it's hard.
And it's fucking hard.
But it's so rad. I've been single almost 3 years now. It's so rad for me to look back on the last 3 years, because being alone for so many people is so hard, almost impossible for some. I look back on the last 3 years, and you and I were laughing about this over wine a couple nights ago, but isn't it crazy that when you're single, suddenly your life and all your shit just comes together?
Like, quickly.
Yes, it's because that energy and that focus that you are pouring onto someone else who may not deserve it is now being focused on you. Isn't that incredible what you could do when you put yourself before anyone else? Yep. Absolutely. And that even goes to mothers. Like, as a mother myself, like, it's so hard to have that delicate balance of having an a life and an identity outside of just being mom, and ignoring like ridicule from naysayers being like, oh, you shouldn't go do this, you shouldn't go do that. I'm like, why? My child is well taken care of. He is loved. He is educated. And he is with his grandma right now. Like, he's always being taken care of. Like, it's so important for all of us to have our own individuality, our own sense of purpose, if you will, aside from being a parent. So, yeah, go let your freak flag fly, motherfucker. Ring, ring. Do it. I implore you. Your vagina is probably calling. Go make it happen. Sorry.
What did I say yesterday?
Segue.
What did I say yesterday? Oh, yeah. Because of the gardener that was outside. I was like, instead of cutting grass, you need to come cut these cheeks. Like, straight up.
And then my 4-year-old's like, you gonna cut my cheeks? And I was like,
no, absolutely not.
But he's like pointing to his, like he's
his face. So I like squished my face. I was like, I know, squeeze your face. And he's like, he started laughing. He was like, oh God.
Yeah, if you have heard that your child is a sponge at like 18 months, 1 year old, no, honey. They're a sponge at 4 years old because they can say all the words that you say, and some fuckery comes of it.
Your child he's awesome. I love it. Because he'll say something and then he'll know it's bad. And you'll be like, oh, we don't say that. And he's like, he
literally laughs just like that. He's like, sorry.
Like, sorry. And then he'll think about it.
Or he'll come up to me 5 minutes later and I'll be like, sorry, mommy. And I'm like,
it's not your fault, technically.
I know. Why do you have to talk to me in that voice and look up at me with those? You know what you do. Get the fuck out of here.
It's like, I know it's me. I just need to be more.
No, I try to be, like, I'm very loving. I love to give my babies cuddles and kisses and praise them. But I am also very stern. Like, as a single mother, like, I demand fucking respect even at 4 years old. And it's like, hey, man, like, if you're not listening to me, we're going to have a talk about it. You know what I mean? And I get down on his level and we chat. Usually it goes well. But, there are moments where I'm like, hey, Elliot, like, we're going to put you to bed. And he's like, okay. Like, yeah, you're not going to watch a show. That's fine. Okay. No milk before bed. All right. Cool. And then I'll stomp off and go upstairs. And I'm like, scratching my head. I'm like, well, that's what I wanted. But
he just leaves you completely stuck.
Did I win? Is it like that? Like, I don't fucking know anymore. God. I got lost in this conversation, but I'm loving it.
That's how it goes. That's how it needs to go.
This Malbec. Malbec. Right?
Yes. Malbec.
Pour some more. I told Deshawn that I'm going on a cleanse after he leaves because, you guys, I need to cut back on my drinking. I know that's kind of crazy for someone to say on a podcast, but I feel like it's important to normalize that vulnerability. Alcoholism runs strong in my family, and when I get stressed out, my go-to thing when I get home is to have a beer when I cook dinner, or obviously drink with you guys because I love you and we're podcasting. But sometimes little Leashy's got to take a break.
Absolutely. Everybody needs it. I'm taking one as soon as I go back.
Yeah.
Just kind of redirect yourself, get yourself back on. It's like, okay.
And the fact that alcoholism runs so strongly in my family just scares me, keeps me in check. Yeah. It's a slippery fucking slope for me. I have a very addictive personality. So
it's not that it runs hard in my family, but that's my father's thing. And if there's a certain point to where I'm just like, no. Like, certain drinks trigger me.
Yeah, fucking Fireball.
Fireball.
Worst hangover of my life. I got alcohol poisoning on Fireball. It was torturous. And of course, the
Gosh.
people I were with at the time were shitty, and they didn't want to take me to the hospital. So I slept on my side all night in the bathtub with pillows behind me and puke in my hair and all over the front of me because they just left me there, but didn't want me to die. So at least they put pillows behind me and propped me up, right? Oh, God. So sorry. Oh,
No.
So, yeah, no Fireball ever again for this girl.
Yeah.
Even when it's free.
Mine is vodka. I will not touch vodka at
Any
all.
vodka? Like, what about Pinnacle Whipped? That's my ish.
Not really.
Oh, baby.
It's just, it's because that's all he drank, and he would drink bottles. And mind you, I want everybody to know, like, I am perfectly fine talking about this stuff because I am in such a happier place right now. But when he would drink, he'd get abusive, physically, verbally, mentally. And from that point, it was just like, okay, no more vodka.
Didn't treat your mama very kindly either.
Well, he never, I will say this. I will give him this, I should say. He never put his hands on her. He never like ridiculously belittled her. But when he drinks, I mean, much of any other person, words flow out, things are said.
Yeah.
But also,
exactly.
like, taking advantage of my mom is like the
That's
one fucking
exactly
thing you do not do in front of me.
That's exactly what I said, though. Like, or what I was about to say is, like, he may have never laid hands on her, but he still, like, takes advantage of her being able to work and her being able to earn money.
Oh, I guess I should specify. It's not like he can't work either.
He just doesn't want
He
to.
chooses not to. He'll be at a job for like a couple of days. Done.
Well, and I asked you about this a few days ago. I was like, I hope this doesn't come off weird, because you said that your parents were living in their car mostly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in and out of hotels as of now. But I asked, I was like, please don't take this any way, because I'm just curious. I really just am curious. Do you think like they have some kind of affliction other than alcohol? Because I was like, if they're working at all, like, the money's got to go somewhere, right? Like, if it's not some type of addiction, drug, or alcohol, it's got to be some affliction like gambling or something. My question was like, where does the money go?
That's honestly my question 24/7. I don't ask it because I don't want to know. And mainly because I already know. If it's not alcohol, then it's no sense of saving, budgeting. So that's why they get hotels, because they just, whatever paycheck they get, they need to secure a place. All right, the place is secured. He needs to get a fuck ton of alcohol. And
smokes, yeah.
And smokes. And then there was a long period where, and I won't put this on them because it really is a general concern, not just in this state, but multiple areas, is opioids.
Oh, God.
Being prescribed opioids,
We talked about
60,
that a little
70,
bit.
80. Now they have those in their hand and they just don't know what to do. So
Well,
the
and that's
combination,
a slippery slope leading into heroin and smack.
Exactly. So it's just like all that combined together. I know where the money goes, and it's just being blown. And
So it is more than alcohol, opioids.
not from what I see, and this is only from what I see and from what I hear. It's not a major problem. It is a problem, but it's not a major problem. I think the biggest thing, personally, I think it's the alcohol, because even when I got here, why is the first thing I saw when I got here was him cracking open a beer and mixing it with some like $4 whiskey that comes in a plastic bottle.
He's making what are those called? A Boilermaker.
But bitch, at
Shot of
10:30 in the morning,
oh yeah, well,
the first thing that you do when you get up.
Yeah, that's an alcoholic
And
for
he
you.
says, "Oh, I need it to function." It's like, no, you need to get out of my face.
Yeah, that's an alcoholic for sure. You know, it's so hard because there's like there's different types of alcoholics. My father is a prime example. Functioning alcoholic to the max. And my dad even like admitted himself into outpatient rehab treatment, but it didn't stick because COVID hit. And so they were forced to do Zoom meetings 4 out of the 5 nights that they were supposed to meet a week. So they were still meeting 1 night a week. And he did say that, like, he really enjoyed that and opening up and sharing and being able to relate with other people who have the same affliction. But then when he would do the Zoom meetings, he'd have a fucking beer, it wouldn't even be beer. My dad doesn't even fucking drink beer anymore. It's always a bottle of Pendleton or Jameson or straight whiskey or Svedka vodka. That's his biggie. And when we lived together before I bought my place where we're recording right now, that was like a big deal because my dad wasn't around a ton when I lived there. He was dating twins at the time. That's a whole podcast in itself. Straight up. Real story.
Facts.
Real fucking story.
Real
Anyways,
thing.
identical, like they're identical too. So that's, yeah. I know I hear all you guys out there like, oh shit, like twin. No, they're actually triplets, but the third one's incarcerated. So they're all just, the gene pool was stretched a little too far with those 3, if you know what I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying? So anyways, when I lived with him, like that would be an issue. When he was there, I would find like fists of vodka hidden all over the place. His garage was a favorite. He would hide it behind oil and like battery chargers or whatever. And then like he'd hide them all under the kitchen sink. He'd hide them behind the couch. And it was like, okay, so at what point are you going to admit that this is a problem? Like,
Right.
And it was like, well, I don't do it at work. And it's like, I don't work with you.
Right.
I'm not with you 24/7. I don't know. And I'm sorry that you feel like I'm putting you in the hot seat and I'm questioning you all the time, but
Come on.
it's because I love you and I care about you. I don't know. So, I
Those
mean,
are hard talks in themselves.
I know. You really got out, branched out. And I'm so glad that you did. Anyways, long story short, I've said this so many times on the show before. I truly believe that your hardships are what make you grow. And there are some people in this world who they call themselves unlucky, me. Or the universe is just really looking out and she just wants to give you lesson after lesson so you could just become the best version of yourself. That's what I tell myself. But I believe it. So,
I mean,
that's what brought us together.
seriously though.
If you never went through all the bullshit that your family put you through, if you didn't have such a difficult childhood, you never would have started working where you did, and we never would have met and then eventually
Our
lived
personalities
together.
would have been completely opposite of each other.
Well, and then we sat down and had a conversation.
This is very true.
How many days apart are our birthday? 4?
4.
4 days. Yeah. So we are both Tauruses and
A Taurus.
to the definition, if you will.
Seriously. Can't unlock my secrets with a sledgehammer, any kind of drill. Nothing could get you to talk until
Okay, maybe not that, but I am an open book. That's the difference. That's the difference right there. I'm an open book,
Well, look at it though.
but I'm a Capricorn cusp.
I was so locked down until I was able to go find myself. Now I'm comfortably talking about like whatever I need to.
I know. It was so hard for you to open up. And when you would get overwhelmed or upset or angry, it was like you would just shut down and nobody could reach you in that place.
Nobody.
No, we tried. Like I would, when Shawn and I met, I don't know where I was going with that. What was I saying?
Well, you were talking about like how you couldn't really get into me when I become depressed or just
I lived with
pissed off.
Shawn, and there were days when I would come into work because he would go at opening, but fucking crack of dawn. And so by the time I'd show up around 9, he'd already be pissed off because there's some kind of fuckery that's already happened. You know what I mean? And so it's just, you could see it on his face. Like, he wouldn't even look at you. Like, he would just be focused and looking down and just
doing shit because
resting
nobody else
bitch
could do
face
shit.
to the max. And it's like, okay, today is not a dancing day.
No cheeks clapping in the back today.
Hey. If you guys saw that ass shake, you'd be like,
I confused
okay,
a lot of people.
I understand now.
I confused a lot of people. It was great. I don't know if Katrina ever told you that story, but her husband, Wilson, they came in with their friends, all 3 of them, and I was walking into the back. So they only saw me from the back, and I had like my high bun because I had so much hair at the time.
Yeah.
And I had the tight-ass pants on. And I had my...
I thought you was a sexy-ass, fine black woman.
Yeah, because my apron, too, was like singed. So I had that hourglass, pretty in the face, thick around the waist. And I turned around and they were just like, oh, shit, it's a dude.
Oh, shit. What is... I don't know the rest. Let me see those hips swing.
Back it up now, let me see your hips.
We on the floor. Now let me hear those... Oh, here... Yep, we're here. No more wine for me.
It's okay. The anthem now is Big Ol' Freak.
Oh.
Megan Thee Stallion.
Yes.
I introduced a little bit more of Megan Thee Stallion to Alicia last night.
Yes, he did.
She's just like, I love her.
Oh my God. She makes me feel some type of way.
She makes me feel some type of way. No matter, I hear her voice and I'm telling you, thighs moving.
Oh my God.
In rhythm, just going.
You know, can I tell you this really quick?
Absolutely.
You might be mad at me for sharing this, but this guy I've been seeing for a minute, he and I were FaceTiming when I got home when you cleaned, right? And I'm like, oh my God, like Deshawn fucking clean. Like, this is seriously the best thing ever. Like, cause I'm just so busy. Like, I love a clean house more than anything. I just don't fucking have the time.
At all.
I work a full-time job. I come home. I make content for all of you beautiful, wonderful people. I take care of my 4-year-old. And I'm also a stylist. Like, I have a hair salon in my basement. So I'm to the max. My plate is full. And I just don't have the time. So that was so amazing. But it was so funny because this gentleman is like, oh, that's so awesome. That's a real friend. That's a real friend right there. Good on him. Wait, he is gay, right? And I was like, honey, if Deshawn and I wanted to be together, we would have been years ago.
Facts. I was like, don't feel intimidated. I know I'm big. I know I'm thick. And I know how to cook and clean.
You sound like the perfect housewife.
I'm just saying.
50s definition, if you will. I want to see you in that apron like you were describing.
It's going to be the only thing I'm wearing.
I'm sure you did. Hey, that almost went over my head.
Just a little bit.
Anyway.
Just a little bit.
So the reason I asked you about your previous girlfriends is because I wanted to ask about your coming out experience. I mean, with your parents specifically, based off of your situation.
When I told my mom, I guess another factor I should say is that when I decided to come out, my father was in jail. He was incarcerated and for some dumb shit anyways. But by the time I told my mom, she was just upset because she was curious to know like why I couldn't tell her. Straight up front.
Okay. I'm glad that she was accepting of that. And
oh yeah, she was very accepting, and a part of her knew, much like my grandmother and a couple of other friends, included. I mean, she always knew there was something, but again, I never opened up at all to anybody. So she was just a little sad in the moment because I didn't tell her sooner. That was literally the only reason she was upset. My father, because he was incarcerated at the time, didn't have a choice. And I think at that point I had built up so much anger. I'll admit it. It was anger towards him that by the time he got out and I told him, which was like 2 weeks later, he gave me a look. And then I looked at him and I was like, I just want to say something. I've been paying the bills and taking care of your family for the past X amount of years. You literally have nothing to say to me. You can say nothing to me.
Fuck
Like,
yes.
You've been incarcerated.
I'm so proud of you for saying
I was like,
that.
I don't care what you think, really. If you don't accept it, that's fine. But you also have no room to talk. And he was like, no, I'm accepting of it. He's like, I always could tell because I try to force you to do certain things in regards to like, he claimed like sports and shit. Bitch, I was on the basketball court. I was on the volleyball court. I was on the soccer field. Don't say it was sports because I fucking love sports. It's other things that he just doesn't want to admit because he wants to take credit for. And I'm just like, look, either way, regardless, this is who I am.
But it's still about him.
Yeah, it's still about him.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. And I'm just like, all right, whatever. But like I said before, y'all, my 5-6 friends that I had, y'all were the first to know before they were. And
I'm so honored.
Chick-Fil-A, I mean, if you couldn't tell by them tight-ass pants, I mean, you were just oblivious.
Well,
but also,
you
like, they
never
didn't care.
would want to ask anyone that. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was always like I wonder.
Yeah, curious. But then, like,
But I've
that
never-
curiosity was tarnished when you see me playing whatever I was playing in
Fucking
the
Mortal
back.
Kombat.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
I'll wreck anybody. I don't give a fuck.
Not if I'm using Sonya Blade.
That's what you think.
I'll wreck you in GTA.
That's true. You might get me in that. All I care about is the cars in that game. I don't really.
A lot of people don't know that about me, but before my divorce, I was like way too good at GTA. It was almost like another life. It's like I could go cap a bitch if I want to and have no repercussions. I might die, but I might do it in a really cool way by like jumping off a building and not pulling my parachute in time.
I think
If you're listening right now, that out of context, that sounds so bad. So you're welcome. I love you.
I think GTA was like our outlet. Like we had rage built up from work, or it was just a fucked up day. Like, turn on GTA. I need to fucking do some shit.
We should have gone,
Blow
like, they
some
have
shit
those
up.
break rooms now where you can break all the plates and all the everything in there. That's what we needed.
Seriously. Like in the back of Chick-Fil-A.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because Lord knows we didn't have time to go do it during the day. So, because we were fucking working. So,
Right.
ooh, those fry boxes in the back and the lemon boxes.
Uh-huh.
I remember
Moving boxes.
the what?
That's what I used them for after.
Oh,
Moving
well,
boxes.
No, I remember Craig got so pissed off one time because I punched through like 23 boxes of fries because of Rob's bitch ass. So
It is Rob with a double B. If you spell your name Rob with a double B, Rob, you're an asshole. I love you. You're welcome. That was a hard talks discussion. You needed to hear it your whole life. I'm sure you did. Everyone else around you's thinking it. You know how when you're in a situation and you're like, man, my life's so hard and everyone hates me and everyone's a fucking asshole. Maybe take a step back, double B Rob, and be like,
self-reflection.
there's a common denominator here. What is it? Probably you, bitch. So that's what the extra B is for. Rob bitch, okay? Not basic bitch. Do you like that? I'm petty right now. It's the wine talking.
Girl, I have developed a lot of pettiness in the past 2 years. That I will like scope out a whole plan just to get back at you and not say shit.
Oh, no, yo. So
But it's totally petty and I love it.
I don't feel like there's anything wrong with being petty every now and again. As long as you're not putting like sugar in someone's gas tank.
True.
Or is it salt? I can never fucking
Sand.
remember. No, it's salt.
Oh.
But I think sand would do the trick
I'm
too.
pretty sure, like, I've heard sand multiple times.
I can never remember. Fucking
Sugar, salt,
email
sand.
me. Yeah, it's all fucked up. I literally almost paid someone to do that for me, but I didn't because I'm a responsible hippie.
I've done some shady shit, so.
Like when we were at closing at Chick-Fil-A, it was like 9:58 p.m. And if you've ever been into the Layton, Utah Chick-fil-A on Antelope Drive, then I hope this was your sandwich because
Oh, shit. No, that bitch had it coming. Fuck her.
Oh, you see, I shared this story in like some random small segue in a previous episode. I don't remember which one, but I was like, oh yeah, no, like I worked at Chick-fil-A for a hot minute. And my friend Deshawn, if he ever listens to this, golf claps for you, honey, because come 9:59 p.m., some bitch pulls up to the drive-thru, orders a tray basically of nuggets and like 8 sandwiches and 5 large fries and a couple of milkshakes after we just tore down the entire fucking ice cream machine, because that's what's called there. And
oh, shit, I forgot about
ice cream. Oh, I'm weird.
that. Dream a bitch would.
And, like, of course, management, which was us eventually, but, like, in the beginning, they were like, no, yeah, serve that shit up. Figure it out. Make it happen. It's like,
Turn everything back on.
are you
Do
kidding
everything
me?
else.
We are 1 minute to closing. I don't give a fuck who you work for. I literally just spent 40 minutes cleaning this bitch out. And I accidentally poured hot boiling water over the front of myself and doing it. So what are you going to do about that? I still turned on the fucking ice cream machine.
Yep.
But then I see Deshawn in the back.
Not given $1.
No, this motherfucker goes over to the trash can because he just threw away all the buns and all the fillets. He picks 5 buns up off the top of the trash can, which was full. Takes 5 fillets, puts them all on top. Gets the soggy pickles that are at the very bottom of this empty pickle barrel, puts them on, wraps them up, throws them down the chute, and he's like, tell them to fuck off. And I was like, I think they'll taste that.
Like, I bet you they won't. And sure enough, they didn't come back.
It was probably the best sandwiches they ever had.
Oh, yeah. Fuckers.
Yeah. No, so you don't know. You say that your pettiness has come out now, but hey, baby, you always had it.
That wasn't pity. That was just straight up like
Rage.
and anger.
Fucking rage.
Petty, I can at least laugh about, and I could look at myself at the end of the day. I'm like, bitch, you petty.
You ever do something and in the moment, it's like you have all this adrenaline and it's like, fuck you. Like, yeah, I'm going to fuck you over and you're never going to know it. And then you get done, you're on the drive home, or you're sitting on your couch doing that, whatever the fuck. And you're like, man, I need therapy.
All the time.
Okay, good. I'm glad I'm not alone.
No, that is.
I'm not out there cutting anyone's brakes or anything, guys. Don't worry. But I am here.
Yeah. I say I'm human. You treat me a certain way, cool. You're gonna get treated equally back. That's all it is.
Treat people how you would want to be treated.
Because if you treat me like a bitch, you don't even know what you are walking into.
You're gonna treat me like a bitch, I'm gonna be a bitch.
Facts.
That's fair.
Then you call me a bitch, and I'm like, you have no idea.
Let me show you.
Let me show you just what being a bitch in my shoes
Have
is.
you ever been choked before?
Well, I mean, like,
No, I mean,
in
these
certain
people staring in your
circumstances.
angry eyes would be like, nay, nay.
No, like, I mean, I know you've seen my face when I'm pissed off, but other people,
I don't even.
like in California, that they see me when I'm pissed off, they literally like, oh my God, are you okay? Like, are like, what is wrong? I'm like, no, I'm just, either I'm a little annoyed or, something bothered me, but I'm fine. like, you look like you're about to punch through like someone's face. I'm like, I may have thought about it, but
Yeah, you're like, do you blame me?
yeah, I was like, I could have thought about it. If you were in my shoes, you know, you probably would have just been like,
oh, no, you
well,
know
that's
me.
so rude, but I'm not that bitch.
No, you know me. You would have said those words to me, and I would be like, what do you mean? I already did. They're in the freezer on the ground.
Facts. Like, oh, where? I'd be like, that's not for you to know.
You'll never find them.
Facts. You did a little drum, but like, it's
I have
facts.
listened to enough true crime podcasts and watched enough, 48 hours to be like, honey, if you need to ditch a body in the state of Utah, you go out to Antelope Island and you dump their body out in the Great Salt Lake. Actually, never mind. I take that back because the Salt Lake is so salty that you become buoyant. So even if you
we
weight
all
a
know
body
who's gonna
down,
be on the front page in the morning.
no, I had to just say that out loud to really like process it. So you're welcome. Don't do that. But you might be able to get away. Anyways,
There's a couple places.
Antelope Island.
A couple places.
It's, I mean, if you're disgusting.
If you're disgusting. Anyways.
Yeah, that was a hard segue. How did we get here?
I really don't know.
Wow. Wow. That wine is talking. And my ADD.
The ADD is strong in both of us, so.
So, before we wrap this up, I need to get this out. I had moved to Sacramento for, 6 months?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I worked out there. I had a big falling out with my would-have-been stepmother, which was very disappointing. And then I moved back to Utah. And I didn't have any place to go because I didn't really necessarily get along with either of my parents at the time. And I had been doing the long-distance thing with my ex-husband. So, of course, that option was offered. And, I was very grateful for that at the time because we had a lot of great memories, me and ex included. Like, despite all the bullshit that we've been through, the three of us had a lot of great times together.
Yeah, there were definitely memories.
Oh, for sure. But I remember like coming out because you, Rob, Double B Rob, and ex all got an apartment together. And I was like, well, fuck, I don't have a place to go. And you guys welcomed me with open arms. I moved in and it was like a party for the whole year. Like some nasty shit went down and in not a great way all the time.
That's just bringing back so many
There was
things.
so much drinking when we lived there that I remember we threw a kickback. And I don't know if everyone knows what a kickback is, but my definition in the state of Utah, that's like 10 to 15 friends over. To other people, that's a party. No, my definition of a party is like 80 to 100 people. So, I mean,
Jesus.
I've thrown those. I've had Project X be happening out in Harrisville, Utah. So, if you were there, you know. I can't even. Anyway, there was one kickback that we had where several people were over. Our friend Paige, she was on the psychedelics episode with us. She was there. She got sloshed. She threw up all over the bathroom counter. I threw up all over the bathroom floor. Cousin threw up all over behind the toilet. You threw up, I believe, and then ex. Oh, makes me feel so good now because he had to clean it all up. Everyone, because it was so disgusting and nobody wanted to touch it that it sat there for like 2 fucking days. Granted, we're all like 19 at the time.
It didn't sit there for 2 days.
It did.
No, it did. The smell did, but
it's because whoever tried to clean it up did a shoddy job.
Well, we know who tried to clean it up. He did a shoddy job, and like,
was it Double B?
No, he didn't even touch the dishes. Like, bitch.
Oh my God. That brought something else up. Double B Rob, was so. Let me build this up even more for you.
It's amazing that we dealt
survived
with
that.
that as a human. It's amazing we dealt with that as a human. Because like our standards then
Like living
versus
in
our standards
squalor.
now. Oh, hell
Squalor.
no.
Yeah. No, seriously. I remember because he was just very unkept. He to this day will, if you ask him, like tell you that he doesn't need deodorant or scented shampoo or scented soap or
Toothpaste.
body wash or anything because his body is unique and it does not produce a body odor.
It's like, no, the only thing about your body that is unique is the fact that you can't smell shit.
He was such a greasy person.
Oh.
Yeah, he had a cat. He had his cat. He was greasy too. Like his fur was matted and oily. And I'd never seen a cat like that. So by the time that I moved in, I was like, yo, what's up with your cat? He's like, oh, I think he might have a thyroid issue. I was like,
no, it's called a bath, ho.
yeah,
Like,
or have you ever washed your hands after you've been done making fries and beating it? Like, seriously.
ugh.
There.
And just know this man was serving you Chick-fil-A. Just so you know.
You're
Still
welcome.
is.
You're still to this day. So just recently, like 2 weeks ago, I go into the same Chick-fil-A through the drive-thru. There are still a handful of people that work at the same location that we both did to this day. Double B Rob being included in that.
Mind you, it's been 10 years.
Oh, well, he's worked.
He was worked there.
He's
prior,
older than
right?
us quite a bit.
Yeah.
And he's in his 30s now.
I want to say like mid to late. To be
Yeah, and
honest.
so he's been working for Chick-fil-A for the company since he was 16.
Oh, hell no.
So he's going on, what is that? 15 plus 15 is 30.
Good job, Alicia.
He's older than that, though. So he's at least had to have been working there for 15 years. And he's only 30. Something, too, maybe. 33?
Yeah. And
Anyway.
like, yeah.
I go through the drive-thru, and he sees me, and he's like, oh, my God, Alicia. There was a woman who had the same face as you who walked in a few days ago, but she was really fat. And I was like,
Let
oh,
alone
my God.
that tells you what kind of person he is.
He's like, oh, my God. I literally thought to myself, Jesus, Alicia has really let herself go. And he's like, I'm really happy to see that that's not the case. And I'm sitting in my car and I'm like, mouth open, kind of like flabbergasted, like, oh, yeah, I'm glad to see that you're still the same too, Rob.
Literally.
That went over his head.
Of course it did. Or
Yeah.
he just didn't pay attention to it because it wasn't about gloating.
But yeah, greasy ass cat. There was a moment there where we work for Chick-fil-A. We all work with chicken. If anything, we should be chicken chefs, right? I will be so bold to say that because I make some mean chicken. Pour me a little glass of that Malbec.
Malbec.
Fucking Jesus.
No,
That's how Malbec.
I mean, when you take a first look at it and you pronounce every letter, it
How's
does
it
sound
spelled?
like Malbec.
Malbec.
Yeah.
Malbec.
Malbec.
Okay.
But in pronunciation terms of like the way they call it, it's Malbec.
Malbec.
But I mean, it goes the same for like any other wine. Cabernet,
It's
Sauvignon
delicious.
Blanc. It's like the way it's spelled is like, wow.
The show Malbec. Good red wine if you want to go out and find it.
And if you want better, just go to California, please, because a bitch is struggling. Like I was in the store for 40 minutes looking for a bottle of wine because y'all don't have shit
In the state. I
in
don't
one
know.
store. If you're going to designate one store to be an alcohol store,
Especially because they're detached from grocery stores, convenience
Yeah.
stores. Utah does not sell alcohol or beer. Well, it does sell beer in gas stations, but I mean, go back to episode 2. You'll hear all about it.
Well, yeah, but it's not even at its like highest grade. It's like the lowest grade possible.
Not anymore.
Really?
Yeah, so it's
interesting.
It's normal. So it's what, 3.
Oh, they've lightened up a little bit.
Yeah. But it's funny because I even said that in the second episode is like when it first happened, you go to Target and they're like, oh, now selling High Point beer. And it's like, no, Target, I think you're selling regular point
beer.
Welcome to the 21st century.
And I'm not a beer drinker, so like
I am.
I can't just.
I'm a beer connoisseur. I'm still looking for someone who knows all the science behind beer to email me into hardtalkswithbnh@gmail.com so they can educate me and potentially be on the show. So if that's you, reach out to me. Do it. For sure. Do you remember the time that Double B Rob threw an entire ashtray down the disposal of our sink in that apartment?
Yeah, because that was, I think, one of the very few times where I instantly, and didn't care who was in the room, I was like, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm throwing it down the disposal. Why would you throw that down the disposal? Out of all the places.
Did you eat paint chips as a kid, Double B?
Like, what the hell is going on? And he's like, oh, well, I just thought. I was like, no, what you thought was wrong.
What you did is you didn't think at all.
Or microwaving a fucking pack of ramen noodles
without the water
still in the package. So the
like
fucking
a cup of noodles.
Microwave is fucking sparking. And he's like, oh, what's that burnt smell? I was like, bitch.
Well, and to that, like I said, we should all be chicken gourmet chefs at this point, right? Idiot throws the trimmings off of a raw chicken into our trash can with no bag in it while he's home alone. You know, he worked nights, we work days, the other 3 of us, and we come home and it's hot
and musty.
Yes, we come in and we're like, oh damn, that stinks. What is that? We're looking around, can't find it, because what he did was he threw the trimmings of the chicken in the bottom of the trash can. And then the bitch was too lazy to pull them out. So he put a garbage bag over it and then put the lid back on the trash can. So days go by. All right.
Days of the smell
maybe
that
like
all of us are like, what the fuck?
Not days, but like maybe 3-4 days, because we all had our own space. We all kept our own like little garbage sacks in our room or whatever. So it took some time for that to accumulate, that the main one in the kitchen. 3rd day, 4th day, I come home from work and it smacked you in the face like a train. It was like, are we hiding corpses in the walls now? Like,
seriously,
it smells like decomposing flesh. Like, not that I've ever smelled that. Thank you, Jesus. I don't ever want to. Not a crime junkie to that extreme. Sorry, Britt and Ashley. But you know I am. But I was literally just like, this is rank. Like it was intolerable. Like it did smell like a body, because when you walked in, it hit you so hard that you almost vomited. Like, oh my God. And so at that point, the 3 of us were like, we have to find this. We
tore apart that whole apartment.
At one point, I even was like, guys, like, do you think like maybe we have mice? Because my dad had an issue with rodents in a house that he had, and one, or a couple actually, died under his dishwasher. And I was like, maybe it's that. Like, we literally were contemplating tearing this place apart. And finally, I go to take out the trash can because it gets full. I lift open the lid and I'm just like, oh my God. And don't be sitting there listening to this and be like, well, if it was even mediocrely full, why wouldn't you take the bag out? I was like, no, like it was literally empty for days. And then we deep cleaned and it got full. And I was like, I'm going to take this out. And as soon as I took that lid off, it was like, hello. How are you?
Like,
nice to meet you.
Hi, I'm right here. Guess what?
I'm the Grim Reaper. Yeah. And I take the bag out, and there's this moldy, decaying chicken breast in the bottom of this trash can. I took the whole fucking thing out. I was like, this is horrible. And after that, after we finally aired the apartment out, we all came together, you, X, and I. And we're like, all right, let's see how long we can go without him cleaning or noticing that nobody is doing anything. Because, like I said, it was like living in squalor. Like, if we didn't clean up after him constantly, it was a cesspool.
Yep.
It was. And I mean, we already had a lot of people living there anyway, but with his cat and with him, like when we moved out, there was literally a defined line of demarcation on his white wall of discoloration.
From his bed, mind you.
Yeah, like his bed was on the ground. He didn't have a box spring or anything. And when we moved the mattress, there was literally a brown film around the perimeter in the corner of where his mattress was.
On the wall.
How does that happen?
On the fucking wall.
Yeah, and it was just like...
Fuck the carpet.
He was like, oh my God, like, are you guys gonna, like, help me clean? And I was just like, no. But long story short, this experience was so fucked up. We went maybe 2 weeks without cleaning. It got to the point that we had no dishes. We had no cleaning supplies, like grocery bags. Like, we literally like, okay, we're going to do this, but the only way we will be able to do this if we don't have the supplies to clean. And so a couple weeks go by, and it was so disgusting that we finally caved that it was almost like a breaking point. And at that point, our lease was almost up, and we were like, okay, no, we're done, because he wanted to release.
We're done talking. We're done asking. We're done everything. It's just like...
It was astonishing how filthy he could allow his surrounding to get in without even noticing it. He didn't care. And I'm sure like that had to do with his childhood and his upbringing. You know, everyone's got a story.
To a point, and yeah, it's his story, but we've talked to him multiple times. We're like, dude, can you at least like help out with just cleaning?
Oh, over and over again. But I've said that before. You either let your bullshit define you or you rise above it.
Right.
All right? You gonna let that shit take advantage of you for your whole life? I don't think so. You're stronger than that. You're better than that. Boom, bam, baby. So yeah, when we finally moved out, we got slapped with this like $2,500 carpet replacement fine because Double B Rob's cat was ripping up all the carpet, pissing all over the carpet. And it's not because it didn't have a litter box, but it's because he didn't change it for the entire year. Yep. He literally wanted the master bedroom because of his cat. He was like, I'll pay for internet if you guys let me have the master bedroom so the cat can roam around more. We're like, okay. But then he never changed the litter box. So the cat just started pissing everywhere. No fault on the cat. But when we moved out, the litter box was set on a cardboard fry box from Chick-Gil-A.
Yep.
And it had been peed on so many times that it was molded to the carpet. You remember that?
Yep. Because I remember looking at that check. I was like, I wanted details. I wanted where in the apartment was the carpet completely tarnished? Because, yeah, I understand the living room. There is 5 people in that house plus a lot of other people coming through. Yeah, I totally understand that the living room is going to be messed up. But I was like, I want to know the rest of the place because you and X's person, your room was fine. And my room, like I know myself. I was like, no, my room was definitely fine. I will accept the living room and the hallway. But if you need to completely replace a bedroom, I want the specs because I know whose bedroom it is. Yeah, I was just like, he's like, oh, it's normal wear and tear. I was like, no, it's normal when you don't bathe. Fuckhole.
Great times.
Great times.
We really bonded over a lot of that bullshit.
And then going to work just to talk about it.
I know. And that's why people were like, damn, you need a Chick-fil-A reality show. And I was like, you have no idea how much tea I could give you right now. Like, I don't think anyone would care, but it's awful.
I think now it's like definitely different because we're both moved on from that point.
Mm-hmm. We can laugh about it now.
Yeah, we can laugh about it.
But in the moment, I was like, my life sucks.
For real. No, in the moment, I was like, my life fucking sucks.
I hate everyone.
I hate everyone and everything.
These are my friends, but I hate them.
I want to go home, but like I don't.
It's a never-ending escape. It's like your psychotic ex-girlfriend that you just can't get away from.
It's horrible.
Times 10. And nightmares.
Right.
Yeah. That stench I'll never be able to get over.
I had a fucking nightmare about Chick-fil-A.
I have those still.
They're like, it just happened and I was like, I was doing everything by myself and I was just like,
you're being
and I woke
triggered.
up and I was like, oh,
you're being triggered by being back in this state.
I know, right?
Have you driven up Antelope Drive?
Oh yeah, like I've seen it.
It looks totally different, huh?
Yeah, but I mean, I still flipped it off every time I went by it.
Bitch. No, you should stop in and just see what happens.
I might stop in like in the morning.
Please
because
let
that's
me
when
come.
That's when like the most sane people are working and there's not a lot going on.
Well, it's the people that we like Betty.
It's true.
She's a goddamn saint. Hey, Catholic Church and the Pope, you should saint this bitch Betty because she is a sweetheart.
I can't believe she's still working there.
That's not a reason to be sainted, but if you knew her, you'd understand.
Yeah, if you knew her, you would understand.
She'd literally give you the clothes off of her back and then hobble because her feet don't work anymore. She's disabled, so she'd hobble back to her car.
I don't understand her motivation for going to that place, and I never will.
She probably can't afford to retire.
I don't respect her as a person because she really is a beautiful person.
She really probably can't retire, and that's what's so sad about the day and age that we're living in. Hello.
That was the white glass.
Ring, ring, motherfucker. Ring, ring. So all that being said, you escaped from, I don't like that word. Let me rephrase. You branched off and found yourself and figured out what you like and what you love. And I just applaud you for that.
Oh, thank you.
You know, I'm serious. Like, you are one of the strongest individuals I know. You've been through so much. And you continue to blow my mind just with the things that you do, the way that you carry yourself, the way that you help other people. And I guess before we wrap this up for real this time, I wanted to ask, now that you're, out living your best life in California, I mean, obviously everyone still has struggles. It's not like your life is not flawed or you don't have sadness in your life ever. But where you are in a place now where you're so vibrant and your happiness is really showing through, what would you say to anyone who might be struggling, if they're closeted, don't feel like they can come out, if they don't have the support? What would you say to anyone who's seeking validation and looking to start that journey of self-discovery?
That is a really good question. And to that, I would say there's kind of different aspects. So in regards to the validation point, and I have searched my whole life from the very beginning for validation from other people about like what I'm doing is right or, just some sort of gratification. Until I moved and did something for myself on my own, that is where that gratification came in. All you need to do is validate yourself. You know, and it's hard. I mean, I'm not going to say like I didn't have times where I was seriously doubting myself and had no idea what was going to happen, or even like what I'm doing is right. What's the point to this? That self-validation in what you're doing and that confidence in the end has become like so valuable to me. I get something done now, or I do something for myself, or I do something for others simply out of validation for myself. I feel so great knowing that I did that, even if it's to help other people, especially when it's to help other people. But I don't look for that gratification in them. You know, I don't look for them to be like, thank you, you've done this X, Y, Z for me. No, simply the fact that I could help somebody, that is what brings me joy. And in terms of coming out, like, just take the time to do it yourself. But don't take too much time to where you're losing yourself and you're worried about about people, even if it means those close to you. Because, I mean, circling back to what we kind of talked about, those who are really with you and who really accept you and who really love you for you, those are the people who will be there in the end.
Absolutely.
And if those people aren't there, then that means that they were not meant to be a part of your life. I'm not religious, but I am very spiritual. And
I say the exact same thing.
You know, there are things that do happen. There are miracles. There are opportunities that present themselves.
Everything happens for a reason, friends.
Exactly.
And Sarah likes to point fun at me. You've heard it on other episodes, but I don't believe in coincidences, as you've heard, because I feel like we are set on this path, not necessarily like predestination in any way, shape, or form, but kind of like fate.
Yeah.
Everything happens for a reason. Everything that comes to us is another lesson, whether it be hard, heartbreaking, you know, euphoric, great, whatever the fuck. Everything that happens to us, small, big, or in between, it's all for some bigger reason. And we may never understand as to why or even notice the smaller things, but it's all in character building. It's all in making decisions. It's all in how we run our lives, the way that we process and filter things.
Well, that's the thing, too. It's not for us to understand. What is for us to understand is ourselves.
I love that. I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. That was beautiful.
You're beautiful.
You're beautiful.
And all of you people are beautiful.
Yes, you're beautiful. Thank you so much for listening. And thank you for agreeing to come on and be a part of the show.
Absolutely. This was great. Looking forward to it all day.
I know. I know. And it kind of happened suddenly. Like,
She's got a lot going on.
I did.
Guys.
I recorded another episode that I was wanting to drop, but I held off, you guys, because it was just a little too close to the vest, if you know what I'm saying. So I think one day farther down the line, I'll re-record it and drop it. But I was short on content this Friday, and I was just so lucky and blessed enough to have my best friend come into town, and it worked out so perfectly. And I say that the best things are the most organic. It was organic. And the way that we sat down here tonight was so very organic. I usually have a couple of questions or prompters that I ask some people, but, you know, obviously we're a little all over the place due to my fault. But
you've got two ADD people. Like
Deshawn and I have always just flowed and vibed, and I'm just so proud of you, and I'm so grateful that you were able to gain the ability to view yourself from a different person's perspective, because you were too close to everything else, if that makes sense. You had to leave the state. You had to go to California. You really did.
Yep. And
as much as I miss you, I'm so proud of where you are and who you are today. I was proud of you back then. Fuck. But you're extraordinary, and you're doing so many great things. You should be proud of yourself.
Thank you.
And so should every one of you listening, because I'm so proud of you. If you've made it this far, I want you to know this is for you. I want you to close your eyes. I don't care where you are, drink in hand and everything. Sit down in a chair. Make sure your feet are flat against the floor. Close your eyes, like I said. Inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. And while your eyes are still closed, keep your feet connected to the floor and feel every fiber of energy moving throughout your body. Breathe in. Breathe out. You are an extraordinary human being. You are doing wonderful things. Even if it doesn't feel like it right now, you are going to get through whatever it is you are going through. That cliche, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. We hate those cliches, but I promise you, as someone who has felt real heartache and someone else who has felt real heartache and despair, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Breathe in. Breathe out. You're smart. You're hardworking. You're funny. You're beautiful or handsome. You are loved and you are worthy. And your feelings are valid, whatever they may be. I want you to know, fam, that I love you. And Deshawn loves you. He doesn't know you as well, but
Absolutely.
I love you. And you always have someone here for you at Hard Talks. Like I said earlier, I will link a self-help app, a counseling app as well in the show notes. It never hurts to educate yourself or to do some research. I actually say knowledge is power all the time. Do it, make it happen, do the damn thing. You can do anything that you set your mind to. I just want you to know that you have purpose and you're going places. And it may not feel like it today or tomorrow or the next day, but you just got to keep going. And at one point, you'll be like Deshawn, and you'll be happy and thriving, and you'll have no, real worry about getting through whatever may come because you've already seen the worst of it.
Just always remember, this is a moment in life. Everybody needs to experience some form of an experience. But just know it's a moment. It does not mean it's forever. Tomorrow's a new day. You have the capability and the power to change that whole direction.
Absolutely.
And if this is your first time listening, please subscribe because this woman is amazing.
Thank you.
These hard talks are definitely something to channel in on.
It is always time for some hard talks, right? I've had an issue in dating recently because I'm all about transparency and saying what's on your mind. But then I've been put in a situation where it's like, well, this is all new and we're getting to know each other and I like this person and I may have not spoken my truth as much as I normally would. And I had a real hard talk with someone today because I had not been doing that. I implore you, fam, to speak your truth even when it's hard. If not, what are we doing this shit for? You know, you go to work, you deal with sexual harassment, you smile and nod, it's going to continue and get worse. You're dealing with bullying at school or have throughout your life, you're being ridiculed through your family. Speak up for yourself or it's just going to continue. It's all in a matter of decision and making shit happen for you because you are what matters most. It's okay to love someone else and be in a serious relationship, have a companionship, have a partner, have a marriage, have children, but you still need to come first. I can't express that enough because you are worth it and you deserve to shower yourself with that time and love. All that being said, fam, I love you. I appreciate you so much for being on the show. All that being said, we love you. We appreciate you. If you enjoyed this episode, go give us a follow on Apple Podcasts and all of your other major platforms. Definitely give us that 5-star rating and review on Apple. And give us that review because you guys have no idea how much that helps us on the business end of things. Like, truly, truly. I have a new promotion for you. If you go on to Apple Pod right now, the first 10 people to leave a 5-star rating and a written review, it can just be a hi. I don't care what you say, just comment. Just comment and then email into hardtalkswithbnh@gmail.com. The first 10 people to do all 3 of those steps, you will earn the first never seen before Hard Talks merch. I will send it to you. I will make sure that you get this gift, but you got to do me this favor if you want this free Hard Talks merch. You got to jump onto Apple Pod and leave that 5-star rating, review, and then email into the show. And we'll make it happen. I love you guys so much. I love you, Deshawn.
I love you too.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I want to say bye to everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Oh my God. I hope you have a great week. Make great decisions. Be kind. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. You know. And we will see you next weekend. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Have a great weekend.
Bye.
Glad you bye. Hard talk about them.
Yay!